Tom Hagan, chaplain for American Legion Post 158, Ergo, Iowa. Pray with me if you like. Dear Heavenly Father, another wonderful day in your creation. Thank you. Please bless our gathering this evening. Bless each individual with their assignments. Touch our hearts that compassion and love guide our actions and our speech. Bless Madison County, the beauty of your creation. May we tend to her well.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's go ahead and call our meeting to order. Can I have a roll call vote, please, Michaela?
Supervisor Hawk?
Here.
Supervisor Campbell?
Here.
Supervisor Fitch?
Here. Okay, we're gonna review the agenda. I think we have two amendments to the agenda we need to make. The first one, I'd like to add the ICAP insurance update. John, over there, you move. He's here, gonna do that, and then Diane, I think you had one.
Yeah, I think we'll add questions or comments from Turning Point, Wildwood, and the schools if they wish, so we can
Put that
discuss
under
that.
presentations.
Yes.
Okay.
And then what is the ICAP going under as?
That will go under presentations as well. Thank you, Michaela.
So move to add, amend the agenda to go under presentations, ICAP, insurance update, and Turning Point, Wildwood, and the schools.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please, any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye. Aye. Any opposed? Vote carries. Okay, now let's go on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please, any discussion?
No.
All in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
I do. What's Madison County Development Group Supervisor report? Was that just a receiving file?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So, aye, so I think that all passed.
Fine.
Okay, moving on to department head reports and discussion. Mike, you are up.
I hope this stays up here without, we'll get to that in a bit. Hello everyone, my name is Mike Hackett. I'm the Madison County Secondary Roads Engineer. I have my assistant Kearns here with me today. We have a lot of things on the agenda and I'm gonna kind of highlight some of that. It's hard to believe we were just here 2 weeks ago and I think we had the same amount of type of things on the agenda. The Secondary Roads Department is extremely busy right at the moment, which is a good thing. So a couple things I want to highlight and what's going on is we've transitioned from what I would call spring maintenance stuff into summer maintenance. So we have, you'll see these things come through, pipe replacement projects, patching, those type of things are going on right now. In fact, Cole just came in from a pipe replacement project. So lots of things going on. 365 dust locations were taken care of here last week to work with 4 different vendors. It takes a lot of coordination between 8 people to get that done and miss the rains and all that other good stuff. Again, we can't see all the roads at the same time, so I appreciate when somebody calls in, has a question or a comment, we'll try to respond to it the best we can. And there are just some things we can't fix, unfortunately. A lot of it has to do with dollars and the way the system's set up. But we're trying the best we can. Okay, so we have a couple things on the agenda today. And I'll try to be quick. I don't have my 100-page PowerPoint. It's going to take 45 minutes today, but maybe we'll do that again some other time. That's all right. All right. So we have temporary road closures for A and D. Those are resolutions on there. Again, this is kind of the time of year where we see a lot of these temporary closures. One of these happens to be for a bridge inspection on Bevington Park Road. The other one happens to be for a pipe replacement project. This is a joint county project, which I'll get into that. It's an H-SIP project. So that's a joint project between Dallas, Guthrie, Madison, and Adair. So it's up there, and if you have any questions on that, they started to do some work on that just this week. So those are pretty standard things that we've got to go over there. Okay. B is a work agreement for pipe replacement. Again, that's a pretty standard thing. We need to be able to access the current pipe for replacement and take down a fence, maybe load a piece of equipment onto private property, so that's an agreement so we can get into the same road footprint without making it bigger, a standard agreement. Also, finally, after we've talked about 5-year construction programs and development to develop projects and the time it takes to do that, I think this one here has been in the books for maybe about 4 years. But we did have a letting in May for a bridge replacement project on Pitzer Road. That 3 bids were received. The low bid was $1,669,266.75, and that went to Kramer and Associates. I believe that's resolution C.
You have 1660, we have 1660632.12 on the agenda.
Well, then that is my fault because the one on bid, this is correct.
The one on the river.
The resolution is correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'm reading from my last minute notes here.
Okay.
So I apologize for that. What
So
you
the
see on the
resolution-
agenda is correct, yes.
The one on the agenda is correct, or
The
the one?
one on the resolution, $1,669,266.75.
Thank you.
Yep. I will tell you that there is no, local property tax for this project. This is a combination of state grant money, state HBP grant money, and HVP money. Federal aid dollars and state dollars are replacing this project.
So you piggybacked them both?
Piggyback them together to get it done, yeah.
And there's no county money at all?
No local county tax dollars involved.
Good, way to go.
Yeah, that's a good one. Those are nice to get. It doesn't always happen, but those are nice to get. E, that's the next one. That's that joint project that we were talking about. That's HSIP swap. It's that joint project between Dallas, Adair, Guthrie, and Madison. And it is a complete road paving replacement widening project. And there were 13 bids on that. Again, these were all let through the Iowa Department of Transportation's bidding cycle. The reason why there's more bids on road work than there is bridge work is there's just not as many bridge contractors available as there used to be, so that's not what it is. That one, real close to the same price, $1,669,266.75. Real close. Got that right? That was also a little bit under the estimate. It's $452,000 under that. Don't know what the percentage it is. Dallas County is doing the administration on that project. As you think back in projects with title sheets, we brought that, we've had agreements, and now we're at that point with the approved contract for our portion. Our portion will be $465,480.57. Approximately $310,000 is HSIP, so that's money that will come back, and you have to remember that's gonna be split 4 ways. But every little bit helps, so that's what I bring there. Okay, we're gonna get down to these out of the way, that one out of the way. Fantastic. Talk about that. Talk about that. Cool. So we have some changes in some legislating code that came through, and this has kind of been a year in advance, and we're coming up on that, and it has to do with permitting. And I'll let Cole work real hard on that to kind of get this up and going, so you can kind of understand what this is. Cole, I'm gonna turn that over to you.
Thanks, Mike. So a little background for vehicles that exceed weight limits, like what we see on this sign, we have a permitting program within the county. So if a vehicle wants to come into our county and they're overweight or oversized, they submit a permit to us. We approve it or deny it, and there's a series of permits based off of your weight or your size. So the state of Iowa has recently came out with a permit called the All Systems Permit, and what this allows for people that are CDL drivers that are driving under these permits, they don't have to go to each individual county. They are now able to file this permit with the state of Iowa. And this allows them to drive under the permit, under this permit on our roads. So they don't have to have 99 different permits for this.
But it doesn't mean if it says 20 ton, they can't be 25 ton.
Exactly. They still need to follow the restrictions of the bridge. So they are still restricted to their axle spacing and their total weight. They still have to follow those laws. But on the determined routes that we've determined, they are able to, as long as they are within the legal restrictions of the bridge, they can travel on it under the permit still.
So I apply for the permit and you tell me which roads I can drive on legally.
Yep, and that's already determined. So the state of Iowa has legally told us all paved FM routes have got to be a part of this permit. And that covers up to a certain weight, and that weight's dependent on your axle spacing. So, yes, to answer your question, Diane, yes, yep. So, and there will be compensation on this. It's undetermined so far because we receive compensation for the permits right now, but now the state's gonna be funding us to be able to participate in the all systems permit.
So I heard that, the federal government might be changing weight limits on some roads. Have you heard anything about that?
I am not familiar with that. I'd have to look into that and get back to you.
They do, they want heavier trucks. I have fought this with Joni Ernst's office since I first started. They want longer, heavier trucks. I'm really opposed to it.
It seems to be gaining traction
It is,
legislatively,
and
so I don't know if the folks that you guys work with that talk to folks up there are talking to folks up there, but that's gonna cause havoc on our rural roads.
It'll cause havoc, but again, a lot of our bridges are still restricted, so they still aren't allowed to, if they are that overweight, they aren't gonna be allowed to travel on our structures if they have a restriction sign like we'll see here. But you are right, it will cause more wear and tear on our roads. So like I said, we're required to have all paved FM routes, and then we have a few select haul routes that we're including on this permit. These are roads that don't have bridge structures attached to them, so it kind of takes some of the workload off us in the office to include these roads, and there's no real repercussion to it. That's all I have on the all systems permit, Mike.
Yeah, I'm gonna add a couple things. So this was passed in legislating, and all 99 counties have to be on this. We've always had a permitting system. There's always been fees for it. We charge the same fees as the states, or at least we do now. It's not really gonna generate any more or less revenue, because it's basically the same. We still have an opportunity, if you're outside the all systems thing, to contact our office for various permits. Again, these are road only and aren't bridges, and that's the reason why I brought that in here. I'm gonna expand on that. So either way, you can check Iowa DOT website, all systems permit. What's nice about the all systems permit is if you do business in multiple counties, that permit's gonna be good for multiple counties and not just Madison County. So depending on what your hauling size, loads, that type of stuff, it's possible that you could just have one permit for the whole state on these county roads. Where prior to this system, you would have to get a permit for each county in certain situations. Now, there still are situations where you still have to contact the county and get various permitting, and there's different categories for it. The best thing is contact the office, we'll guide you through the process. Okay. These are for roads only. So bridges are, what the bridge law is the bridge law, and that's why I brought in my PowerPoint presentation over there.
That's a heavy PowerPoint.
Yeah, that's a PowerPoint. A couple things I want to note here is on our 511 system and the state system, our bridges are marked, or you go to our county website and go on to the road system link there, and it's going to tell you what tons those are. The bridge laws are the bridge laws. You cannot cross those if those tonnages are up there. And the sign is an interesting sign. I have this discussion quite a bit with people on this sign and what it means. So I thought, I got a second here. We're going to talk about it. So the top truck symbol is a straight truck. Doesn't matter how many axles are on it, as long as it's all one unit, you can't go over 15 tons. A misconception a lot of times is, and they're not necessarily wrong, that's the bridge law. If I have more axles, I can distribute the load. Yeah, that's true, but that's the bridge law. So the second truck down below would be a tractor unit or a semi unit. And of course, that symbol doesn't have 18 wheels on it, it just has that. So what that means, if you have a power unit and a single trailer behind it, you're at that 20-ton limit. The one below would be a combination of a straight truck and a trailer, or a tractor and a mobile trailer. So that's what that means. A lot of times that's confusing. There's been a big push to change a lot of these things, and just the fact that it is our infrastructure's old and probably not a good idea to push it yet. And you asked if about tonnages, yes, the Iowa County Engineers Association is in contact with those people who are talking about that legislating and trying to get our concerns on that across. Bridges are probably the most things that are affected. I talked to the board, you guys before, brought up your attention that, basically half of our bridges are obsolete. So it's a never-ending battle. There was actually a news blip earlier, I don't know if anybody caught it, but it had to do on the federal level, talking about road use tax at the federal level, and it's been quite some time since that's been raised. I don't know if that will go anywhere to help with that. That's another subject, I'm gonna move on. I just thought I'd bring that in to kind of clarify things. Again, I'll be in the hallway here in this meeting. Catch me in the hallway if you have any more questions
I have
on
a
that.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many people don't pay attention and do what they want? Do you ever catch them?
Well, enforcement is not by our department. It happens, and we relay that on to the people that can enforce it. Unfortunately, the people that can enforce it aren't always right there. So it's one reason I want to bring it on top about it. All you're doing, if you're crossing that stuff, first of all, you're hurting the bridge because it only has so many cycles of loading. The other thing is you may run into a problem yourself and get in an accident. So, and we don't want any of that stuff. So, again, if you would like to discuss this more, I'm always available. You can make an appointment, email me, give me a call, and we can discuss some of that stuff. The other things on the agenda here that we have are the standard pay raises for the secondary road departments, which includes union and non-union. What I'm going to say about that is those that are represented to you today are what was in the FY26 budgeting process. So that is what was used for that. That is there. Just to let you know that's what was there. The last resolution on there, I believe Cole and I brought to your attention that we have utilities working in our community and grants to put fiber in, and basically the whole county. We have some great people that are doing that work. They do that through a permitting process through our office, and then we've had some issues where things are just not going as planned. And I talked about bringing PRN to help with inspection on that. We have a current PRN employee that's been, I believe, the resolution I have beginning was 2021 or 22. The resolution that I'm bringing you today is to just bring his salary to the base salary for that. So he can do that type of work. He's going to be responsible for relating back to us to make sure that the permit is followed by the utility companies. There's also a clause in the utility permit that we will charge the utility company that is requiring this inspection at a rate that will cover his wage and a truck. So it's a reimbursement.
His past job was this. So
Yeah, and not to go into great detail
So he
on
has
this thing because
expertise.
he's not here, but this person here worked for a telecommunication company for I believe 20 years. And then he was an employee of Madison County Secondary Road Department for quite some time. He retired. We went through the COVID things. He said, hey, can I be a PRN to come back in and do snow removal and whatever we want? And we've got that process going with several employees in the past that have come in here in PRN situation, because when you have things like blizzards and you have COVID or you have sickness and you don't have enough people to cover, that's why we have that. And this one also fits for this inspection because the guy has the experience to make sure to follow the rules. So that's why I bring that today. Just want to get his base salary. The salary that's reported there is the base salary for starting union position or union position in the county at the road department. So I think that's only fair. And the other thing is it will be reimbursed, so no cost. I don't have anything else. I've taken enough of your time. Thank you very much. Again, I'll be around and back if somebody has any questions. Yes?
Can you check us real quick the numbers,
Which one?
the numbers on the resolutions and the agenda, are they correct? I saw there was 2 of them.
There are two, which resolution were we talking about? Yeah.
SRC is 1,669,266.75.
Yep.
And then
Is that
for,
correct?
and then for E, I have 1,666,632.12.
Yeah, both those numbers match the resolution.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
And I,
just wanted to make sure.
again, you know.
No, you're fine,
Hey, I've been here since, 5:30 this morning. And my notes may not have been what I need to do to go through this, I apologize.
But this 1660 is incorrect.
No, it's
Yeah, they're both correct.
The numbers on the resolutions that are presented to you match the contracts, that is correct.
We just want to make sure that.
Yep, no, I want it right too, because I don't want to have to come back up here and do it again, you gotta listen to me again, so. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
I'm just gonna leave that here, I'll pick it up tomorrow.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, now is the time for public comment. If you have a public comment, come ahead and come up to the microphone. Well, your presentations. Your presentations.
Are they later? Okay.
Just
That's fine. I think
Unless you want to speak twice.
no, it's cool. I'll be patient.
If you want to come up and speak, please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening, I'm Nancy Forrest, 2299 152nd Street, Winterset. I'm going to take us down a different road that isn't often traveled here, though I see it as being very relevant because the decisions and the choices all of us in this room make, no matter our roles, affect not just us, but the rest of life within which we live, whereby we live. I'm going to tell you a story. Probably two July 4th ago, my husband said to our grandchildren, who had been sitting around a campfire with us, enjoying the evening and listening to the fireworks around us, where we are dark and we can see them. He said, I want to take you all into the woods. We have 40 acres of woods. Now, I grew up on grassland. Being in a woodland at night is a different experience from what I grew up with. When we walked into that woods, we were surrounded with fireflies from 30 feet in the air to right at our ankles. It was like being in a snow globe of fireflies. I will never forget that, nor will the grandchildren or our children. I bring this topic to you and this story to you because fireflies are an important part of our world. They bring joy. They open our eyes to nature. They also teach us about what our choices, how those choices impact things like fireflies that most of us take for granted. The fireworks that were going off around us, we're spraying toxic materials that create the colors. Those toxic materials don't go away. They enter the water, they are particles in the air, and their debris is left on the land. Being able to see the night sky, including the Milky Way. Have any idea how many people in the world can see the Milky Way? What percentage? 80% cannot. We can. So lighting practices on our homes, in the ordinances we create, in the decisions we make, are important. Because ambient light confuses fireflies, it messes up the mood. Thank you. 3 minutes.
Thanks, Nancy.
I think we got the gist though, Nancy.
I hope so.
Thank you. Okay, who would like to speak next? Anyone else?
No, it's not.
Presentation.
My eyes are, I'm in my 40s, it all looks.
Vicky Brenner, Winterset, Iowa. It's gonna be short and sweet. I am speaking today not because I think anything I say will impact your actions. That has been pretty evident from the first time I spoke back in January. No, I'm speaking because I want to go on record that I and a vast number of tax-paying citizens right here in Madison County are paying attention, and we will continue to do so. Taxpayers deserve supervisors who respect established procedures and prioritize transparency over personal agendas. This deliberate circumvention undermines the integrity of our county government and exposes all of us taxpayers to unnecessary risk. Over the past 6 months, it has become increasingly apparent that some elected officials and those who support them are more interested in consolidating power and creating chaos than serving the community. We will continue to be vigilant. We know there are ongoing investigations that will eventually bring the truth to light. Those who have betrayed public trust will be exposed, and when all the dust settles and those responsible are gone, Madison County citizens will do what we always do. We will come together, we will roll up our sleeves, and we will get to work. And we will bring back good governance that actually serves the people. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Anyone on the phone wish to speak? Please make sure you unmute your phone, please. Going once, twice. All right, let's move on. Ryan, you are up.
I couldn't see you, I'm in my 40s.
Did you get my email?
Yes,
About the
I don't think we have a building with some of those stats. We'll discuss that.
Yeah, I sent you the same.
Okay, it's all good. So, yeah, sorry about last month, we had a developer that was like, you're coming out to the site, and I'm like, okay, thanks. With little notice. Anyway, so just to give you a quick update, for about, I think it's about 6 weeks, we did close 2 loans on our revolving loan fund, the $30,000 and $20,000, which were both in Winterset. Still have $40,000 in our current loan pool. All 5 of our current loans, aside from the new ones, are current. The others are just now starting to pay in. We have 2 possible loans under consideration currently, one in Urban and one in Winterset. On the land that HDG owns, the appraisal is still underway. We are waiting to hear back. Should be any day now. And the conversations we've had with the party interested in the parcel that would uniquely be able to use the difficult parcel is, those are going well. On the city of Winterset, we helped Holly with the Thriving Communities application, so that's been submitted. The state gave feedback that we will hear about that a little later than we had hoped, just because they're backed up. So the Thriving Communities is an award that a community can get. I think there's about 6 communities a year that get it. And it gives you preferential points for housing tax credits, and housing tax credits are basically workforce housing. These are workforce housing homes, so it's down to 290,000 or below, so most of them are, they're not LMI homes. So. We are working with a business relocation, that has opened up a site in town. We already had meetings about what that site might look like. Continue with optometrist recruitment. BTWI has reached out to you and there's been some conversations there. We do have a possible expansion project that's very early on, and we have a possible multi-business construction project that we are in the very early phases on, but they want to move quickly. And we are exploring ways to support downtown businesses with kind of opening up some new tools that we might be able to use. And early on, the ripple effect grant has been awarded for a fiber build-out study to kind of assess how that would work. We have 2 residential sites that we're continuing to have conversations on. We continue to have a conversation with the Dallas County business about moving to town. And we have a small business transition that we're looking at the RFI, our revolving loan fund for, to get a new business owner into the business. And then we like to update our marketing material for a site that we already have in town. On Turo, we continue to try to have conversations with the library and about the library city hall combination project, which looks like if it happens, it's just gonna be a library project. So we're kind of assessing that in terms of like figuring out the funding timeframe. We have to basically build a funding plan for them. Look at the community foundation and all the other aspects, and how do we get to the $800, probably $1,000 to say go. So that is an ongoing discussion. We're continuing to work with the rural business on their financing package for expansion, and we have another business outside of town here that's looking for some equipment needs. On the community foundation side, the cemetery fund cemetery fund grant program is open. We just approved one for Worthington Cemetery to repair 7 stones. All the community foundation grants have been awarded. The checks are out, and we're still doing a little bit of press here and there through Facebook, and we got one piece we need to do for this project. We funded like a splash pad at the pool to fix they have like a smaller pool that had kind of degraded, so there was $20-some thousand for that project. Another news, I was out at the end of April and the first week of May for training down in Kansas City, and I was going to tell you that at the last meeting that things were slowing down. It was nice to play catch up, but things have just started heating back up for fall and summer, so that was a nice 2-week fleeting window. It's like pumping the gas a little bit, but any questions or anything? So.
How do you determine who gets the funding for cemetery?
It's mostly first come, first served. It's basically an application. If they want to go for it, they can go for it. It's basically a matching fund program. So they bring us a qualified bid, and then we approve it. We pay it out ahead of time, so they don't have to come. We don't want to do it as a reimbursement, because then they've got to have more cash, and kind of sloppy. So we do pay ahead as long as they have a qualifying bid.
Is that done by the township trustees, or how?
Township trustee, a municipality, a cemetery board can apply, although with cemetery boards it's tricky because if they own their own ground and they're applying, then we have to run it through somebody else to hold the funds, who's a nonprofit. So usually in that instance, it's the Genealogical Society. Okay. Because then it's like we're giving a nonprofit money to pay itself, and that doesn't work with the IRS. So that's why we have to use in those instances. Yeah, so it's usually first come, first served, and it's basically, I think it's 75% of stonework, 50% of fencing, and 50% of tree removal to protect stones and fencing. So,
And Ryan, thank you for all the stones you set on your own and all the hard work.
Well, we were out that this weekend, so I'm all dirty because I was washing the truck out.
Thanks for doing, because you do a lot of
King Cemetery was real hard to
Thank you. He sets all those stones in.
Well, my shoulder's bad, so we had a crew, since some of the doctor visits are on there, so we had a crew helping us. So.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, John, did you want to come up next?
I can. I'll be honest, I didn't see anything on the agenda, so I don't have numbers or anything to prepare.
Well, I apologize for that. So
We
maybe
kind of
just
talk in
give-
generalities.
Just talk in generalities, and then I did forward the other 2 members of the board the potential for increased liability, the cost of that.
Good work, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
Introduction,
the
actually.
potential cybersecurity addition.
Right,
So-
right.
So we'll probably talk more through, but I thought you could just give a general.
Sure. So a couple pieces. So the work comp, as we talked about, is going to be higher than what we had anticipated initially. We've kind of talked about that. Part of the Solution to that is revamping our safety committee, and we're in the process of doing that, so that's a good thing. The other insurance, cyber liability, those sorts of things, actually is a little bit lower than what we had anticipated on the budget, so that's helps offset a little bit the increase on the work comp. Cyber, there's some different options that we can do on cyber, different limits, coverages that we can, that they're offering at different premiums, obviously a little bit higher, but it's still under the initial premium that we had set for those items. So that's just kind of in very generic terms, kind of where we're at. So work comp will have to do an amendment after
Correct.
July 1 for that, but the other one's a little bit lower, so that's good for that one.
Yeah, so it won't be as bad as we thought.
Correct.
And we talked a little bit about the cyber, how, you know, there's pros and cons to increasing the coverage.
Yes.
So the pro is that we have higher coverage for costs if we do get attacked or ransomware. The flip side is the higher the coverage, the more attractive we are to have that happen.
Kind of double-edged sword, correct?
So, yeah, so that's something that the board may discuss, if that's something we want to do, because what you say, our coverage right now is,
250, I believe.
so, so anyway, so that was something he gave his option, we can talk about that, but. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you, John. Okay, and then, we have Turning Point. We added you to the agenda to kind of give a brief presentation on what we're gonna be talking about later, the resolution.
Let's think right. And I have never been in person, so the structure is new to me. I've been online a couple times, but in my gyms, so it's a little bit different. But it's already been worth it because I've learned a little bit about firefighting fireworks. I didn't know those things, so appreciate that. My name is Stacy Koonz, and I think I'd love to start by just asking everyone to raise their hand if they're here on behalf of the Opioid Settlement funds. What I think is really cool is, and I was kind of a late comer, I think, to this project, which I think speaks to what's going on. We have had so many different people in the community come together, in the county even, to determine what could be the best use and source of this and what could work the best. We have so many people and stakeholders in the county involved. We have all the schools on board. And we have Wildwood here with us tonight, as well as just other important county members. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of what the plan is, and then if anyone wants to speak further, I think that'd be great too. So as we have gotten started, and I do think it's important just based off of some of our own county history that's occurring right now, is that we know that what I'm about to speak about is not monies that comes from taxpayer dollars. Everything that we're gonna speak about comes from a settlement fund. Those monies are sitting right now, and that's why the opioid task force, to my knowledge, came together to kind of determine what the best use of the monies would be. I was approached by Turning Point to come alongside this project, and I was really excited because I think anytime we hear that there's a gap in services that we can provide, we want to jump on that. I've been in mental health in Winterset for 12 years, and so this county is just really important to me, and so anytime I see that there's a need, I want to be a part of that and champion that in any way possible. So when Turning Point approached me about providing a program that could fulfill a need that we had, I was really excited about that. We are looking at presenting 3 programs that could help meet a need of not only opioid and drug use reduction in our county, but also just a development of community resiliency coping skills. What we would like to do is meet with schools and have our professionals work with schools groups and provide a curriculum with them, as well as partnering with Wildwood to have some larger and smaller events. So doing some equine psychotherapy work, as well as having, like we already have a school on board that wants to bring their entire school for a day and let us provide the curriculum and see the pre and post analysis of that day. The cool part about it is, well, there's lots of cool things, but one of my favorite parts is that we get to see the programs work in 3 different facets. We get to see it work with kids with smaller groups, but butts and seats, right? And hopefully we can get them up and moving around a little bit more. But we get to see what that kind of environment looks like and how we can create an impact in that way. But then we also get to take students and families out and work with them in a smaller capacity with equine therapy. And then tertiary to that, we get to provide like large group events that will help kind of see like what is going to be the best and most effective use of the program. Is it going to be meeting small groups, small subset in a quieter, more structured environment like a classroom? Is it going to be while riding a horse? Is it going to be while they're with 40 of their other peers, shooting archery? What does that look like? So that's the bigger like logistical part of it. But on top of that, the curriculum that we're using, we're really excited about. We've done some research on what's most effective, and Ohio also had a similar settlement a few years back, and there was this man, Dr. Kevin Lorson at Wright State University, who developed this curriculum that he has started to implement. Actually, K through 12, all students get it in Ohio. Once other states have started seeing the impact of the program, they have now started pitching it out to other places. We would be the first Midwest state, which is really exciting, but there are currently 4 other states involved outside of Ohio. We also, for a fee, we get to send all of our data to them, and they will analyze it for us, which is really exciting because not only does that take that workload off of our professionals locally, but it gives a non-biased analytics data person the opportunity to kind of go through that stuff and put it side by side what other people are doing in other states and to see what's working and what's not working. So we're really excited to see not only how the work that we're going to do is going to impact side by side with Ohio and other states, but also like what facet of that work is going to be best. Will it be the small groups? Will it be the larger? And recognizing too that funding can change year by year as we move forward, moving towards we're going to start with this 3 program facet, but then once we realize what's effective, we're going to move forward with what's effective, and we're going to kind of move in that direction, if that makes sense. Let's see, what am I missing? Does anybody have anything to add? There's so many people that are part of it. So when they were like, you go stand up there and talk, it's like, oh my gosh. Kendra, Natalie, Matt, does anybody want to come speak? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Matt McElhoe, CEO at Wildwood Hills Ranch, and I just am excited about the opportunity to partner with different county collaborators. People say he's got a drug or alcohol problem. He actually doesn't, or she doesn't. They've got a deeper seated problem that drugs and alcohol are the medication that you take for your actual issues. So we've been the last 20 years at Wildwood, we've been working at getting down to those core root issues so that we can dive into, oftentimes it's some sort of pain or trauma or some sort of issue that caused the drug abuse to begin with. And I'm excited that our organization was founded off a partnership, so this would be just one more collaboration between county assets that we would be really excited to be part of. So, for your consideration.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Kendra Alexander, Director of Student Services at Winterset Community School District, and I just wanted to speak for the district in our support of the programming that is proposed. I think we continue to receive students with unique needs and are always looking for ways to meet those needs. I think that this is a creative way that can look at both the child and the family and community system as well, to really work on improving outcomes for some of our kids. So I'm excited for the opportunity.
Thanks, Kendra.
I am Natalie Montross, and I'm the Juvenile Court School Liaison for the Winterset School District. And I have the privilege of working with lots of community partners. Through juvenile court, we also work with, I work primarily with Winterset youth. However, I have worked with some Berlin and I-35 youth as well. And what I really have enjoyed about being a part of this is seeing the 3 school districts come together. And without any reservation, they were all in agreement, yes, this is something that we really need to do for our youth and families. And that family component I think is so important. I was at court on Friday and we had a full day from 9 to, I think, we walked out at 4:30. And just sitting there thinking about the number of families in that one day and how many children were affected by the use of drugs or the mental health that led to drugs or the trauma. And so that partnership with Wildwood, I've used Wildwood as long as I could. I've been here almost 30 years. So when Mr. Lynn came and Matt, we really started to partner with our kids. We have kids going out there all the time. But that family piece, I'm excited about. I have families already in mind, and I know other juvenile court staff do as well, where we work with the kids, but the kids are not just the problem. It's a family situation, and they need the support. They need to grow on their strengths, and I feel that this program would certainly do that and provide the opportunities for our kids and families to continue to be successful and change for the good and see positive outcomes. So thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Natalie, for answering my questions all the time.
You're welcome.
So if no one wants to speak on turning point, I do have some questions. I'm not sure who to address them to, so.
Well,
Jump up.
we're all here together.
Okay, all right, so, do we have data on local kids? Because I know that this is an Ohio program. I actually read the curriculum. Jeff Olson sent it to me. It's great. I like it. But everything seems to focus on what was going on in Ohio. Do we have any data from Iowa, at least, if not our own districts?
Yes, ma'am. According to the Attorney General's report that was provided for the opioid grant, that it was approximately 460-some pages. It deemed Iowa as in need of assistance to have treatment for opioid of all persons. And the really neat thing about the opioid funding way to meet the needs, it's encompassing of so many varieties, and it didn't give specifically like, oh, this population or this statistic has to be met. It was open to like prevention of, or those who just haven't been aware of, to teach, to kind of, what's what I'm looking for? Veer off or educate so it doesn't become a problem later on, so they can build internal connections so they're not seeking out over-the-counter medications to start with and then move from there. So it's teaching that awareness of self-care. So to go back to that, it was the Attorney Generals of Iowa within this funding that did deem Iowa as in need of assistance to receive ongoing care for all persons that we could reach. So that's what I found in reading the articles several times.
Do we have any local?
So that's on the macro level. On the micro level, through our partnership with Turning Point, Drake University has been collecting data both on our veteran program and on the kiddos now. Now that research on kiddos is a lot harder to get because of what they did back in the 50s to kids for the sake of research, but we have been collecting both pre and post test, and Drake University has been the organization that has been a third-party vetting organization that especially with the equine therapy component, it's a vetted and effective method to treat. So that's on the data side. On the anecdotal side, we had a local Madison County resident that was a veteran that was in a very dark and bad spot that has now been sober for over a decade, and is excellent father, excellent husband, excellent contributing member of society, where he was not on that path before. So we do have a track record of being able to got the statistics on the macro level of that Madison County does need this type of assistance, and on the micro level, just through partnership with Drake, we've been able to find very effective methods to help.
So do we know like the data for the kids though, in our county? Do
Well,
we
and I
have
think
any data on that?
longitudinally, that's difficult because we don't have, the, like.
We don't
like
have the
time.
resources to.
And we haven't had the amount of time it takes yet to provide a study of that sort. I think every provider in this room could say that they work with a family and child that struggled with either generational trauma or affliction from a family member that has struggled with drug addiction.
With opioids specifically?
I think we could all say opioid, but I do think that that's one of the lower ones in our county, but I think that it's definitely still affected. I mean, and again, I think the bigger picture too is that we have this fund to utilize. Why would we not utilize that and try to also encompass other drug afflictions too?
It's just that the settlement is pretty specific on what we can use it for, so that's why I'm asking the question.
It leads with opioids, but it does include other.
And the section was at E4, talks about the mental health component in addition to preventative maintenance and care. Even if those have not been identified, children are in a different subset where you have to get a lot more releases and to collect data on minors has a whole different liability purpose to it compared to adults that can give informed consent. Where children at a young age, they don't understand informed consent, and none of us can really talk to informed consent. So that's a different analysis to gather in general, which is really hard. Not saying it's not possible, it's just not always realistic.
There's a lot more hurdles.
Yes, thank you. So additionally with the section E4, it talks about there's no really identified person under the different variables of money and funding can go for, because specifically it talks about preventative, like how do we make our community stay strong long-term? Those of us who are immersed in the field of mental health, who are with DHS, with the schools, with the liaisons, generational recidivism is real. And so if we can kind of get in there young age, hit that lower brainstem, teach about security and safety and the power to say no, that right there starts to transition that brain into later on saying, no, I can say no thank you, and that holds power. And a lot of kiddos, even adults, struggle with saying no thank you because we people please. And so with the opioid grant specifically in that section E4, I believe, I might be quoting it wrong, really does talk about that component of how do we stop the recidivism so we're not dealing with the same ongoing, whether it's mental health, co-occurring disorders, so we can have a balance out. And what better way to do that is in a small community where you can learn each other's names. And when you learn each other's names, you have a cohort, you have a community, you have a place to belong. And that's really what I read about the funding, was how do we help create a sense of connection and not about a number or not about a percentage. How do we build connection? And you have to know people's names. And that's kind of what we're showing here right now, is none of us are making money off of this. We're all giving. Turning Point's losing over 100, we're gonna give that in kind. Wildwood, there's a lot there too, I'm not gonna speak for mass numbers, but it's quite a bit. Just time in general, we believe in it, and that's why we choose to give our time for this too.
Yeah. The settlement pages of E8 through 11 speak to more of the preventative care and the evidence-informed programs that we intend to utilize. And we absolutely would not want to misuse the funds either. I mean, that's very important to us.
The
And
last
so
thing was the county have to pay that back.
absolutely, yes. So we've done our digging
No,
as well,
that's-
and we'd be
that's-
happy to send you more of the highlighted areas if that's something you'd be interested in.
It's not the county funding.
Steve
though.
needs to speak.
Yes, it's not county money.
I don't think it's
not
something
county.
that it's not, it's just the opioid, we just have to track what we spend it on, as long as it's reasonably preventative or in treatment, and it relates some way to opioids, they're not, my understanding is they're not that strict, that it's only exclusively opioids, but if it touches, so like in their preventative work, they, you know.
As long as we
touches on-
touch opioids in some way.
Yeah,
in some
yeah.
way through
Or
the program,
addiction,
yeah,
yeah.
it's not exclusively and only like, if you don't, just talk about heroin all day, then we're gonna pull the funds back, no, it encompasses kind of.
And the
And
work,
preventative is a big key part, and that's part of why we wanted, or we, as a board, agreed on this plan, was because, getting to the kids at a young age prevents us from me, from having to deal with people when they're an adult.
Yeah.
If they learn the lessons to like cope with their issues, properly, then I don't have to send them over to Jason or leave it. So that makes both of our lives better in the future, so.
Okay. So the other questions I have is this gonna be during school hours, or is it gonna be on weekends?
No,
It's fantastic. So the schools, the superintendents met with us, and Miss Kendra can talk more about the school aspect of it. And they also were in support of getting supports during the daytime. So the superintendents stated we are allowed to 9 to 2, basically operational hours. We have designated individuals like Miss Rothmeiler, she's gonna take Winterset in Earlham, right? Is that the school? And then we have set people for I-35, so it's consistency on the same day. There's several providers that are involved in this. Additionally, with the partnerships with Wildwood and also Mr. Gratney and Earlham, the school is allowing us to utilize their vehicles, except for the really big events. Mr. McElhoe can explain more about that. When the schools come down and we run that large event, that will be school transportation, but the ideal is during the school day hours for the groups to meet the youth. Additionally, the further part of it would be in the event, I talked with Mr. Lynn, he's over there, he's the horse handler at Wildwood, he's fantastic, and Mr. McElhoe. But we can provide the more individuals, if someone needs specifically some more personalized care, we can rock out some equine therapy on that route of it. So to answer questions, a little bit of everything depending on the availability of the staff and the facilities that we have access to.
One of the things I'm really looking forward to is if we meet a group of students and we find that our intro of the 6 curriculum group times isn't efficient enough to potentially meet their need. We also find out that maybe they do have more of a family need, which would probably be common, right? We can utilize these funds to meet with the family outside as a family unit at Wildwood, which is pretty exciting too.
And we're brand new at this, so we're totally trying to figure out the best way possible. So we're open to any ideas, suggestions, or feedback. So if we have to modify things, we'll modify, we'll adjust. The cool thing is we're going every 6 weeks. The curriculum is 6 weeks long with a pre-test and a post-test. And then we stop for 2 weeks and we come together with those involved and say what's working, what's effective, what's not effective, what are the kids reporting. And then we can make adjustments as we go, because the goal is to provide, they're giving themselves to us, the best of them, so we need to give the best of ourselves back.
And we will get an analysis in that 2 weeks from that group.
We'll do pre and post, and we'll have weekly notes. We'll do a coding system that identifies the school and the student, so that it's not gonna be identified by anybody except for the providers. That talks about the curriculum itself, I'm looking at you, and then go for that one.
Yeah, so like, it'll be anything we can bring to you and say, hey, student from WCSD, E4, he mentioned this in the qualitative part of the survey. And this is one of the reasons that we know that it's working in particular for these individual families in our county, which is pretty cool because the survey obviously will give us like our numerical data, but then there's opportunities too for like further feedback, which is fun.
So, what's on the resolution for today is $100,000. But your presentation, your application was $196,976. So where is that difference gonna come from?
well, it was on your first application, but when we all sat down together, we thought they need to do CEUs, correct me if I'm wrong, before the school year starts, and all the things they have to get ready. So we just offered as an obligated money, the $100,000 to start with, and that was our obligated money. At the beginning, one of your applications was because we were gonna partner more with, remember the first.
What was included in our packet was the original application.
The original.
Okay, that was changed upon the second meeting. The committee, the opioid task committee, had asked that we modify it and to structure it more towards targeting K through 12, which is what Ms. Koonz was able to find. And then Dr. Lawson out of Wright State University, he is more than willing to also jump on a call and meet and talk through it to explain the curriculum, how it's used in the other states. And some of them are in their third year or second year. And so the curriculum was meant, even though it says Ohio, it was meant to be used nationwide through the grant, so it's accessible to every person that would like to utilize it. So it was based off of the criteria for the evidence-informed information to meet the needs of the funds.
But the amount of money that we're asking for, the difference there is the 196 is what we would need for the fiscal year. The 100 is what was gonna get us started, and we weren't sure if we could ask for the full amount up front. We do have our budget here if you need to see it or would like to see it. We've also sent that along as well.
So, okay, so that's to get you started, and how long is that program? Like, say for instance, hypothetically, you don't get any more funds, what happens?
Well, we have more funds, we're sitting on a.
Well, we can't guarantee what future boards are.
Well, they know.
Correct. So yes, ma'am, to answer that question, so with all of the stakeholders involved in it, we made it really clear with the school districts, with Turning Point, with Wildwood, with Mr. Gratney, any person who's involved, when the funds run out, we're done with the program. However, we can then transition to, if a person needs ongoing care, we utilize the resources in the community mental health care or group care, things that can be available. We're in a rural town, so it's very hard to access some of that, and we understand that, which is why, to us, if we can impact it and make an impact versus trying to do half work of it, go in and let's really rock it out and do the best we can do with what we have, which is why we knew the funding was not going to cover. So Turning Point, Ross, what's our number? To offset it, we're not in this for the money, I'll make that very clear.
105,000.
105,000 is what Turning Point is giving back as an in-kind to offset what is not being paid for to cover the cost of the program.
Okay.
So does that answer?
Yeah, it does initially, because you saw that number, and that's a pretty big gap between what we're considering and what the original proposal was.
So based off of our last committee meeting, our assumption was that it was gonna be the full 196 tonight. But like, we can also come back again at the next meeting and request the further, or once we get, originally we had discussed like, well, once we, present our budget monthly or bi-monthly, I think we decided, and we're getting lower on that end, then we would come back and submit for the rest of the fiscal year.
I just wanna make sure you understand is that these funds, even though we have a larger amount now, that is not gonna continue.
Yes, we understand.
So the most we're gonna have, I looked at they provide a spreadsheet for each of the different pharmaceutical companies that are providing settlement funds, and it works out to be, we get anywhere from 35 to 38,000 a year for the next 3 or 4 years, and then after that it drops to 14,000.
Well, one of the things from the 3 programs that we're intending to start this year, our hope is that once we recognize what's the most effective, we can funnel that down to 1 and then utilize that 1 program, knowing that we will have less funding.
Because if it's successful, I don't want it to stop.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, but I don't want to set expectations to you guys that, these kind of funds are gonna be forever.
I think the payouts are higher than that.
They're much higher.
They're much higher.
They're much higher.
On the spreadsheets that we were provided,
I have a website that has all the
Steve is
payouts.
that's the website I looked at.
2039.
Can you, yeah, it goes through till,
I don't see it, send it to you, that doesn't pass me.
it goes through, some of them go through to 2032.
Try to find it.
Could you send that?
I
Because
can't
what
send
we
it.
were provided,
Well, I can print it off, I have to have a password, I can't send a link to that password, but it went from 2039, I think it's 70.
because I'd like to see that, because this is a lot, I don't want to set an expectation and have them start something, have it be successful, and then oops, we don't have the funds, because that can cause more harm.
More funds coming to different possibilities.
And we understood that going in, and that's why Ms. Koonz, what she was explaining and with Mr. McElhoe, Mr. Lynn, and the different school districts, was recognizing this is our hope to figure out what's gonna land well. So if it does not land well to meet with students K through 12 in a certain setting, then, and that for example, K through 2, maybe it will not work well to meet with them in the classroom, they're fidgety. So that just gives us information. The more information we can collect then leads us into how do we narrow it down so that the program can be effective. We don't know until we try. So the answer that still is an unknown, but at least we'll have information to figure out how to move forward. And that's.
So is there a way that you get to us, normally when we do something like this, there's some kind of contract, and I didn't see any contract. So we need a contract of, basically outline what you're gonna do, the expectations, the end goals, this cost goes, because all we have today is, unfortunately, was what was originally, was the application. So if we could get a contract that outlines that, and then the expectations down the line. So
That's all we've been given too. So if you guys have a contract for us to sign that we can read over, I mean, we don't have like a lawyer on staff or anything like that to create a contract. So if you guys have something in mind that we
Steve,
can.
draw up a contract?
Yes, that was, Steve was talking
That was a
about
Steve,
that.
yeah.
Yes,
That was
so
Steve.
that was
So
left.
Steve, did you know they were supposed to do that?
Yes.
Okay. So, I know that the general counsel from ISAC gave some recommendations they used for the ARPA money. They gave, and they recommended that we use similar things for something like this. So, I think it's an excellent idea. There's just some kind of I's that need to be dotted and T's need to be crossed.
I agree, because I made several calls to people just to try to piece this information together, and it's not very clear, when the funds will be dispersed. And the oversight is from the task force, correct, as far as when the funds will be dispersed, but it's not really defined in these documents that we have.
But you like the idea of what they're gonna do.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I just wanna make sure that the documentation, passes the muster to make sure, we've got everything covered.
So, and whether it's gonna be writing a check or do reimbursement, that all needs to be outlined in some kind of contract.
So we could work with Steve, mental health facilities use an MOU contractually with schools. We could take that, adapt it to what's needed here and work with Steve to kind of process through that.
If you wish, I can send you guys what the Iowa State Association of Counties sent us.
Yeah.
To give their kind of, that we both have the same ideas, cause multiple minds,
Definitely.
work best.
Yep.
We need to be very careful. This is not like ARPA money, it can't be taken back. This is settlement money, punishment money that the government.
Which we are responsible for.
We are responsible,
And we
but
need
it
to make
is
sure we
not
have time.
taxpayers'
I
money.
understand that.
I don't wanna put a task on you, Steve, either, that's not under your jurisdiction, so it's holler if you're like, no, that's not me.
So I think the consensus of the board is that we like it, that we like what you guys are proposing, we think it's a great idea, there's a need in the county, absolutely. It's just not quite there yet for us to, pass, I don't wanna speak for the board, but for me, it's not there yet. I would like to see a contract, I'd like to see more flesh out of what your plans are, starting with $100,000, and then depending on success in that, the next step and how much that's gonna cost, so we're all on the same page of expectations, because I do wanna double check what monies are expected to come in, because I wanna make sure my goal is that the entirety of the program is covered by these monies, so our schools do not have to pay for that.
Would you be okay if a contract was drafted and then the stakeholders sign off on that contract before it comes back to this committee?
I think probably Steve would have to work with us too to make sure that that we're okay with the
That sounds
language,
good,
but yes,
Yes.
I want this to be a joint effort. Because I think what you guys are proposing has value. Like I said, I've read the curriculum, and I've read their data, the Ohio data, and it seems to have success. It's just, as a board, this is a lot of money, we wanna make sure that we're
Absolutely.
following the correct process,
Yep,
so.
makes sense.
But I think that hopefully it'll make you feel good that, it sounds like to me that the board is in support of the idea, we just need to kind of get the housekeeping process stuff done.
So can we state that when they get the contract, they know that this 100,000 is obligated, so they can be ready for the end of the school year curriculum?
I don't think until we get all that approved on it, we can't say that.
I think they need to move forward, don't you, knowing that that's there, a safety net for you?
We do have a certain amount of training that would need to occur before the school year begins.
So I think we'll work on getting that, taken care of. Can you give us a timeline of when that needs to be done? And does it have to start at the beginning of the school year? Can it start after the school year?
It needs to fit their curriculum,
Right.
We like to
It's a
provide the
year-long
biggest
program.
impact
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
as
year-long
possible.
program?
Yes.
And the
Okay.
schools want it to fit, they wanted it to start in the school year, so that's what
Yes.
They've got 4 different sessions set up.
Terms.
Terms, however you wanna say it, they have 4 different, terms set up throughout the school year, so they can hit different kids.
Okay.
Just
But the
meeting their
initial,
school
the initial
schedule.
point, the initial 100,000, you said was just gonna be, did I mishear you? Did you say 12 weeks, 6 weeks?
The program is 6 weeks, but every term is 9 weeks?
9 weeks.
9 weeks. So the 6 weeks is also with like, if there's weather and a group gets canceled, or there's a holiday, or, you know, a group is like, or on a field trip. So we have a little bit of wiggle room, but then we also have the 2 weeks for data analytics as well. And then we start over with our next group of kids. So that's why the terms are utilized in that way.
Okay, so it'd just be 9 weeks, 9 weeks, 9 weeks, 9 weeks, is that what I understand?
Yeah, the program is 6 weeks, but with in the conjunction of the school schedules, which are 9 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Per group, and we worked with the school counselors from all districts to kind of make that plan and what might have the biggest bang for our buck for working with kids.
And so you have some things to do in advance of the school year to get
Yes.
ready. So I understand there's some urgency, but can we plan to have it before us again in 2 weeks?
Is that your next meeting?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the closest we can do it, then that would be the goal.
So Steve, you can drop that contract.
I got nothing but time.
So we'll put this on the agenda with the contract in the next 2 weeks, so we can obligate that. Does that sound good?
We'll get it done.
All right.
And then the exhibits that you referenced, could you email those to me? I'm not sure what.
You're talking about the
I think
settlement.
It's in it's in the public information of the Iowa opioid grant funds, or funds, not grant, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're
funds.
Schedule E. Schedule
Oh, you're
E,
talking about,
Exhibit
okay.
E.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
And then, you know, in addition to the contract, more of a robust of what the actual program is gonna be, because all we had was the original application.
Okay.
So something that can flesh out a little bit more
Yes.
of what the plans are for the program.
Would it work for any of you within the next 2 weeks to sit down and touch base, so we're not spending time at this meeting, go flushing things out ahead of time? Would that make it more time effective?
I don't quite.
Well, we want to make sure we have every T crossed and I dotted. So we would love to be in contact with you in the meantime, like as we're putting things together.
Yeah,
Is that
I
a
think-
possibility?
I think that's appropriate, you know, we'll get a draft and then all parties need to look at it and
Right,
review it. We all need to work together and make sure everything's covered.
Yes.
So whatever, originally, it sounds like that this was a conversation the task force had. So whatever originally brought it here at the beginning, what your program was, what your initial plan was, because I know that we have money coming in, but the initial resolution was for 100,000. So I'm just not, I wanna see the different spots, cause I don't wanna commit, I don't wanna set this expectation that you guys gonna have all this money coming guaranteed when the resolution has only 100,000.
They know that, we've made it very clear.
I think there was some confusion on the money being requested or how the format was exchanged, so that was an error on 100,000.
Okay,
So we'll scratch that one, please.
okay, all right, so we'll
Just nix that.
restart.
Yes.
If you can get us what your plan is, that would be great. All right.
And then-
I don't have any other questions. Do you have any questions?
Diane's on the task force. Do we need to appoint people that, these are gonna be the people that are gonna make sure that everybody appropriate is getting a draft of this and engaging the right people? Let's just kind of,
So maybe
Confirm
just
that.
when they email things, send it to the board as a
the
whole,
board as a whole.
and then Steve. Cause Steve has all his free time.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Is that, that's CO Supervisors at madisoncounty.iowa.gov is our board email.
So in the next 2 weeks at our next meeting, then we'll review the,
Review what they send and the beautiful contract that Steve's gonna put together. And then we'll talk about it, so.
Well, with the hopes that people review it and are
And then-
good with it, so we're ready to
vote on it.
proceed, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Does that sound sufficient to the team, task force folks? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for that. I'm excited to
It's
see.
exciting, we've had that, the funds have been sitting there for how long?
For a while.
Quite a
And y'all
long
know
time.
that the state has funds too, right? Over $2 million that they're sitting on.
Oh, somebody better go
So you
after
might
it.
wanna contact,
Yeah, do you have a contact? We'll be glad to contact them.
well, I would start with our state representative. So here in Madison County, it's Senator Sinclair and Representative Bubba Sorensen.
Okay.
So their legislative session is over now, but I know that is a irritant that they can't get traction on getting that money spent, and every year they get more. It might be bigger than 2 million now. So this could be something that you might wanna consider for.
And especially once we get the numbers, the successful numbers that we plan on. that-
Yeah.
And it could be replicated in other school districts in our state. So just be aware that we're not the final say, there's more money out there, so you might wanna look into that.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay, all right, any other questions from the board? Okay, we'll go on and move on to, resolutions for board consideration. The first one is approving a contract of $4,000 with Solutions for Staff Training. Laura, did you wanna say anything on that, or at all? Nope.
Maybe, yeah, just explain what the training's for.
Yeah, if you wanna explain what the training's for, you wanna just sit there?
That's fine.
So the auditor's office, was talking to Solutions, to come down and do some training to help all of us in the auditor's office, cause we're all new. And hopefully, be able to, get us all kind of up and going, for, our new auditor that's gonna come into all new staff as well. And maybe those people will be new too, and maybe don't know everything that's going on. And so that we'll all be trained properly,
On the systems?
on the system, because Solutions is not an easy system to learn if you don't know it or don't have any training. It's kind of a complex system. But we ran into some issues, that we're correcting the errors now, that we found with previous. And it wasn't easy to do those, especially that you didn't know the system. But we found the errors, we're dealing with them, we're putting, gonna get them all done and move forward. And hopefully with this training that we will have consistency and accuracy and expectations and procedures will be clear, and we won't have any more problems or mistakes, and we'll have equipping staff with knowledge and the tools to do the right things the first time. And establish a standard foundation across all team members so the office can operate more efficiently and confidently. And so by investing in a targeted training, the office can shift from reactive corrections to proactive excellence. And then people that we hire will be able to have team members that know what's going on and be able to train them as well. So I'd like the Board of Supervisors to support this training in our office. Has nothing to do with the IT side. It's all on the application side of Solutions.
So the software that supports like payroll and budgets and on the treasurer side.
Right.
All that software.
Right, just as, yeah, so nothing to do with the IT side of it, but, and we have it in the budget this year for fiscal 25, but we don't have it in the budget for next year, so we'd like to get it done now and get trained and,
It's in the current budget?
yeah, it's in the current budget.
Fiscal year 25.
When was it added?
Well, they had that 100,000 for
They
the
had that.
employee they never took out.
Oh, okay.
So we have it in the budget.
So I'm curious, how have you all been getting along thus far? I mean, are there certain things that you haven't been able to complete because of this training, or is it just to do it better or more accurate?
It's to do it better, but so far we're getting things done. There's some things that we haven't been able to do all of the way, just because we don't know the whole system. But we're learning to do it, I mean, just by reading the book and going through.
So right now, the only way is to kind of read the book or contact Solutions and have them.
Right, they walk us through
They walk you through
whatever
it.
that we don't understand exactly, but so far we're getting everything done, and obviously we're doing some, pretty much a good job or whatever, because we're catching mistakes that happened clear back in 2023, so, and current mistakes, so, Michaela and I are catching those with So I think that we're doing all right.
But you don't really understand the system.
We don't
fully
understand
right now.
everything that's going on with the software, and I think that that will help, us going forward to be a better team and be able to help the new team members that come on, which we're short-staffed in there, and another person will definitely help.
Is the intention of this new person to be trained as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that the main point on this is not that we're not able to do our jobs at all without it, it's that we're spending the majority of our time and our labor and resources sitting and reading through 800-page manuals, and it's not effective, and it's taking up way more time than it needs to take, and we have to be really precise in it, because obviously all the financial stuff in the county is very sensitive. There's not any room for error, and it's not easy to go in and to learn a system for the first time when you don't have anyone to teach it to you and have no room for error. It just leads where we're spending all of our time, all of our resources, and I mean, the cost of the staff labor, even just to sit there and learn it, it is more effective to have that resource that is available and utilize it.
Okay. Is this one person that comes from Solutions, and how long are they here?
For this go around right now, one lady is coming down, and gonna work a couple days as of right now. That's what we have scheduled for this week. It's just, if she gets approved, it gets approved, that she'll come down.
So she will basically sit there and train you side by side?
Yes.
Okay.
Is 4,000, will they charge you for mileage on top of this and a hotel? Because I think it said in the contract.
That's in the quote.
Yeah, everything that the 4,000 includes everything. And I don't know that she's saying, she said the lady that's coming is from Canada, and so she said it's an hour and something drive, so I think that she's traveling back and forth. She's not saying.
Okay, well, thank you for that, appreciate that. I will entertain a motion to approve the contract of $4,000 with Solutions for staff training. Is there a motion to approve? Okay, I have a motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I will vote aye because we need the training to make the company function, but I wish we would have tried much harder to utilize old staff. But we need the training so we can move forward.
Okay, all right, any other discussion? All in favor, please vote aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next one is approving updated policy for disclosure of security-related information. Steve, I think this came from you.
Yeah, so basically, pretty much every other county, I talked to Judge Jacobson, who is the head of the courthouse security committee, and most of the surrounding counties, and he sent me kind of things in his home county of Jasper, to limit the ability of the public to view the courthouse cameras due to security reasons. People can see them where they're at, but they don't know what they're looking at, and that causes security issues if people can find blind spots in security cameras and such like that. The understanding by pretty much everyone is that there was a resolution in place under Matt Schultz, because Matt Schultz didn't allow the release of those, but there was no resolution in place. So this is just kind of getting the resolution up to where it goes for that. Then in addition to that, due to IT no longer being on site, we need to secure that system so that it's not just accessible to the public or anyone that goes where it's at. And we're also going to examine the possibility of moving it to a different secure area than where it's currently housed, in order to make sure that the system is secure and protected from being damaged or being used for anything nefarious.
And only you and the sheriff Barnes will have access to it, correct?
Brady.
Brady.
And who?
Brady at the EMS.
Oh, Brady Foreman, okay, good.
So it'll be, me and the sheriff would have the courthouse and the annex, and Brady will have EMS with me and the sheriff. So basically, it's because, if there's someone falls down the stairs and is gonna sue the county, that's when I need to preserve the video, in case of a lawsuit. Sheriff would need it if there's someone goes crazy in the courtroom or something, and also the sheriff deputies watch the video. Occasionally when there's court services, if someone tries to escape, something goes on, they can watch the video, see where they went. So that would be the rationale behind that. And then obviously there's the EMS building, and there's only one office out there, so it would make the most sense to observe that, so. That happens out there.
And then the vendor was out today to look at what that would look like to relocate that. He gave me a rough order of magnitude of just over $1,600 to move that, but I don't have the formal quote yet. He was just here. One thing that he did mention though is that we don't have a UPS for that server to support that server. It's something we should look at.
That's a battery backup.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that his quote, like you showed one on that, it was like up to $149.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah,
bad.
they're not bad at all
It
for
wasn't too
UPS.
bad. But I do know that when the power goes out, that system shuts off right now, which is not ideal. I shouldn't mention that in public, but I'm just saying we probably need one of those.
So that's something we need to consider as well. And also he made mention that one of the reasons that we're using so much data and not able to store as much is because of this one particular eagle eye camera. And so he was recommending replacement on that. So that will be some future information I'll gather for both of you.
Now, is that just to move the system from the courthouse to a different facility, or the system here too?
Just the courthouse.
Just the courthouse to move it to the third floor.
Because there's servers here too, in the annex.
They don't need to be.
You don't. Okay.
Just that one needs to be moved for now, and that's just because of reasons I don't wanna get into.
Okay.
But like, there's a couple options where I move, but there's one option that's probably the easiest one to move it.
Okay, all right, well, we'll leave that to your discretion. So, okay. All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the updated policy for disclosure of security-related information.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. The next one is approving hire of M. Joyce as second deputy to the auditor at $27.25 per hour effective June 11th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
It's too high of a wage, I think I would have started at what, we got other part-timers at 20, and then after a 90-day probationary, raise it up, but that's my feelings.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, please vote aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay,
Okay.
only because I think you started it too high.
Motion carries. Okay, approving VPN access for M. Joyce through June 31st of 2025. Do we mean this 2026? Okay, all right, so we'll.
Actually, no, because
That is what the rest of the.
All the rest of them
all
are,
the rest of
so
them
just
are
making it,
25.
okay, so then we'll just have to redo it for everyone.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, do I have a motion to approve VPN access for M. Joyce?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay, because I think it should be a probationary period before you get VPN. I think it should be at 60 to 90 days, so I'm voting nay.
Okay, motion carries. Next one is to approve the job title and salary adjustment for Angie Day to first deputy recorder at $66,752.16 per year, effective 1 July 2025. So this is a promotion from second deputy to first deputy. So, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next one is approving wage changes to Sheriff's Department per union contract. Where did we go?
Can you get Jason?
Yeah, can you get Jason, please?
Yeah.
so while we're waiting here, why don't we skip to the next resolution? Approving signing annual renewal contract with Mainstay for computer and network maintenance for Sheriff's Office.
And this is what he's had for years and they want to stay with it, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next one is the Opioid Settlement Fund. I think we agreed to table this.
Yeah, so the next 2 weeks and we'll have everything.
We'll have everything for that, so table that. Motion to table. Do I have a motion to table?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye to table.
Aye.
Okay, it is tabled. All right, the next one is, so don't let me forget, we have to talk about that when he comes in. Okay, so we'll go ahead, we have some secondary roads resolutions. Basically, they're the rest of the agenda for resolutions. So, the first one is approving closure of Madison County Bridge for inspection effective May 29th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. The next resolution is approving a work agreement between Madison County Secondary Roads and Darren D. and Crystal M. Drake. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next one is approving awarding contract for bridge replacement to Kramer and Associates at a cost of $1,669,266.75. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approving temporary closure, the next resolution is approving the temporary closure of the Dare Madison Avenue for pipe replacement. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The next one is approving a contract for PCC pavement project to Manats Inc. in the amount of $1,660,632.12. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next resolution is to approve Madison County participating in the Iowa DOT All Systems Permit Program. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approving wage adjustments for the Secondary Roads Department per union contract and budgeted for fiscal year 26. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next one is approving longevity pay increases to Secondary Roads Department per the union contract. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approving wage adjustments for non-union employees in Secondary Roads Department for fiscal year 26. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approving hire of I. Strable as PRN at $27.48 an hour effective June 4th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
The sheriff is here, so you can.
Okay. All right, we skipped the wage one.
Okay.
Did you, and you and I talked about this, there are some discrepancies that I thought we could, a little bit higher pay, a little bit lower pay. Do we want to discuss that or table that or?
Can we table it?
Yes.
Give me a little more time?
Yes.
In 2022, there was a 6% increase. We're trying to figure out why. We don't know if that was because because that was the same time that we did that pay adjustment for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So did we give her a 6%? We gotta figure out why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. All right, I will move to table and so you can work that out.
Can you, and when you're ready, just let us know, we'll have a special meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, take care of it. Okay, all right, do I have a motion to table,
Yeah, I
resolution?
moved.
Moved, do you have a second? Any discussion? All right, there's a move and second to table resolution SO 061025A. Do I have a motion to approve tabling? I'm sorry, do I have I to table? Aye. All opposed? Sorry.
All right.
I think.
I was lost too.
Okay. All right, motion carries to table.
Moving on.
Yeah. Okay, we're moving on to applications for licenses, permits, and cancellations section. Motion to approve application for annual liquor and wine license renewal for Covered Bridges Winery, located at 2207 170th Trail in Winterset. Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please vote aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, motion approving application for fireworks display for Jacob Anston at 1712 Earlham Road in Winterset on Saturday, July 12th in 2025. Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I really, after hearing Nancy, I feel very guilty about this, but because I did have people in our B&B from Los Angeles that sat on our porch every night because they had never seen fireflies. And they were in their 70s.
So, any other discussion? All right, all in favor, please vote aye. Aye. All opposed?
No one is saying.
Is that, are you saying no?
No, I
Oh,
said
okay.
aye.
All
I
right.
just said there's no, I didn't know.
Okay. All right, so motion, resolution, motion passes. All right, I'm gonna give myself a break, you guys can talk. We'll move on to board member reports. Who would like to go first?
Go ahead, Jess.
Well, as Steve had mentioned, we've been doing some work regarding the camera system, have a lot of meetings about that, working through that. We did get the safety committee restarted. It apparently had been years since we've done it, so I'm really glad to get that off the ground, and Mitch has agreed to chair it, and Kelly's gonna co-chair that. I wanted to ask you ladies about the ISAC annual conference, August 20th through 22nd. Are either of you planning to attend?
I haven't looked at the curriculum, but I'll let you know.
Okay.
If it's stuff I've had before, you can go, because you have been.
Okay.
Have you been to one yet? You have not.
Not the annual conference, I just have the new officer.
There's a lot of good stuff on the annual. You can choose your days too on things you might already have done.
I think you should go.
So you don't have to go to the whole thing, or?
Well, it's usually, it's like 2 days.
Yeah.
And usually the first one is just general stuff, and then the second day is more specialized to particular elected officials. So I think you should,
And then we do have a walkthrough, finally got a walkthrough scheduled with Bry Holtz, just to kind of walk through the courthouse project in advance of the warranty dates expiring.
So speaking of that, have you done any further work on inspector?
No, because I wanted to walk through with Bry Holtz first, so that I can ensure I do my due diligence there, and then see what they say first.
Okay, because I'd like to, have you heard back from the peeling traction stuff on our stairs?
He said he would do it when the weather was more stable, and I can call him back because he's my next door neighbor. So I can do that and get him on his stick.
Who's he? Mitch from?
It's the
Bry?
subcontractor.
No, it's a,
that did the coating on the stairs.
it's a big, great big caulking company that does all that. I will call
If you
him.
go up
fix
the
that.
west stairs, you'll see that it's peeling off.
Yeah.
On the bottom.
Well,
it
so
should be
yeah,
there.
I'm glad to know that, cause that was on my list to talk to Bry Holtz, so.
No, I'll call,
You're
they
dealing
know, I'll
directly
call
with-
him and I'll have him get over
Well,
there.
we
Okay.
talked, I let Reynolds know that, and then she said, I'll talk to them and.
Yeah, I
talk
called
with Sal.
Reynolds and then I called, yeah, I called him.
Okay, awesome, thank you for that. And then I think we should potentially, set up just a special work session for us to work through, what we're gonna do with public health, just getting that kicked off, and just
Oh, the
defining
building,
that,
you mean?
yeah, public health
Okay.
sale, the building sale, excuse me, and
I sent you all the other,
The bids.
yeah, and the first bid was by
The
far
first
the
bid was
lowest,
the
and I like it so much better, it was a very thorough contract.
because the timeline, you know, we can't do anything until after July 1.
Well, I was gonna ask about that, because I know we budgeted a certain amount of money for the inspector for the courthouse building, but we end up not spending all that in this budget year.
We didn't put it until 26, did we? I thought we didn't put it until after
Do
July
we have
1.
something for a contractor in this budget, do you remember? We don't, do we?
No.
We don't, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was after July 1.
Okay.
So that's where I was just kind of thinking I wanted to get a jump on, just start developing some timelines and what this is gonna look
Do
like.
you wanna set up your work, do you wanna wait a bit, or?
You wanna set up now while we're,
Set it up.
Since we're here, yeah, let's do that. Compare schedules.
You already have the bids, what do you want? They are. Just the
logistics, I think. Have you talked to the chair of the Board of Health?
Yes.
Okay.
And they have, you know what, and they have a meeting coming up, I don't remember if it was July 9th, maybe. They're gonna resolve some things hopefully then, regarding their need for refrigerators or not.
Is that what happens?
So maybe we should kind of just hang tight and plan to meet after.
After they get,
When's their meeting again?
I wanna say it's July 9th, but don't quote me on that.
Okay,
It's not until July though, I know that.
okay,
So maybe what we can do is do a later date to review that
okay.
and really get rolling on it, and then I'll continue to work with, the folks in that building and start lining some things up too, just gathering information. And then I would like to schedule a time for us to talk about some facility questions that I have and just in general. So I don't know if you wanna wait and plan on doing that in 2 weeks, or if we wanna kind of set up a meeting.
Could you do it when you do your, public health, do it all together,
When we
since it's
till July.
facility stuff?
Or is this something we should move on now?
I'd like to talk about it sooner than later, so if there's any way for us to set a time, then what I can do is I can email my list of things that I'd like to discuss, share it with you all in Chip, and see if you all have anything to add to it.
Okay, so let's do a facilities work
Just a
session?
facilities work session, yeah.
Okay.
And you on it?
Do we wanna, piggyback on anything else, or do we wanna? I don't know what your ladies.
Well, I know we have a standing meeting at 9:30 on Tuesdays. The off Tuesdays, did we wanna do
I have
them,
some
or?
camera stuff set up that day, but I could potentially move that, but,
What time is your camera stuff?
we're still trying to confirm that. It's probably first thing 8, but, so I could maybe do 11. Or,
11 o'clock on the 17th?
or we could look at a different day that week.
11 o'clock's okay, the 17th.
Okay.
That's fine with me.
And that's a special meeting to talk about facilities.
Facilities. Did you get that, Michaela?
So work session.
Work session, yes.
Okay.
And then I'll send out, probably not till tomorrow, but I'll send my info to you ladies and to Chip.
So we can review that.
So you can review it and,
Okay.
yeah, yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that, and then I won't take any more time, thank you.
Okay.
I attended the County Conservation Board open house. It's really beautiful and it was very well attended. CCOG, a special meeting, and we had an insurance meeting. I attended the Ventura open house, and they said they have posted numerous times for a volunteer that would sit on their board for low income. And so she asked me if I'd reach out, so I got 2 people, and they'll send their apps in to
Oh,
them,
good.
and then they can figure it out.
Better success than I did.
I got 2 really good ones. I've been working with, the trees. We had a little mishap with trees, and so those should be, we've ordered them. They will tree and spade them in. We picked, let's see, white swamp oak and red oak. So we'll replace 2 here, and then we have to put 2 wherever the city says. So that should be done. It needs to be sooner than later before it gets too hot. The swamps need a lot of water, but they do well in this town.
But we missed the deadline.
They're okay with it.
Can you get that in writing?
He's already got me, he said he's okay, and, I will work with them, I have to fill out the application, or Chip really should, to put the trees in, and then I'll have him write on there that this is okay.
Thank you.
Because they're all right with it. The door replacement, you saw I got another bid, but it's such an unclear bid, I thought it was confusing, so I will reach out to him. I reached out to him today, and he said that it was for the double sliding door, but I think he's only doing one side. And he says, I said, so I need to double this bid, and he said no, so I think he's confused. So I'll call him back and try to have that figured out, so that's what I've done.
Okay, all right, well, I was on vacation, but I did, do, some calls, so I went to NPO technical meeting online, and then I've also been researching conference calling, because you guys wanted me to look into that to an alternate provider. I've talked to 2 companies already, they sent me some information, so I'm still digging into it. And then, we'll talk about this later on in the agenda about the solar ordinance, but some information came up. I talked to some other supervisors in other counties regarding some things that are going on regarding solar, and we'll talk about that next agenda item, but, so I had some calls on that. And that's it. So, any other things to report? All right. Old business, solar ordinance. I know we talked about this before. I believe our solar moratorium expires in July, late July. I'll have to look at that again. But we need to either extend it another 12 months, or we can, I talked to Ryan about this, and he said we can extend it, he'd like it to be extended until after the ordinances are approved.
I think we decided that last time we wanted to wait until after the ordinance is reviewed.
So, so I need to get a resolution written for that so we can approve that. But I wanted to make you guys aware that the Iowa Utilities Board now is stepping into the fray.
Yeah.
There is Sierra Gorda County, their supervisors decided that they didn't want solar in their county, and we're doing resolutions, and this particular company brought it to the Iowa Utilities Board to protest. So now the Iowa Utilities Board, even though Iowa Code does not really govern solar that much, they are asking the Iowa Utilities Board to weigh in and basically take away local control via ordinance. So,
I think this is going to be so unpopular.
yes.
It's so.
So the reason why I put it on here is I want to know if the board would be interested in having us comment on the Iowa Utilities Board website for their, they put it out to public comment. And I know Sierra Gorda County Board of Supervisors has commented that with a statement, and they put that statement on their website as an official record. So I didn't know if that's something that you guys wanted to think about and consider us doing as well.
Is it, sometimes it's wiser to lay low and say nothing.
Well,
And put our ordinance, so we don't.
well, what if they decide against it, it would nullify our ordinance. So that's the problem. So
you're saying a formal opinion,
a
if you will,
formal
of the
opinion of
board.
opposition from the board, if it's approved by resolution, and we could basically put a formal thing to them, we oppose you stepping in and telling counties what to do. And the legislature already does that. You don't need a bunch of bureaucrats doing it
And
too.
the Iowa Utility Board.
I'm all right with putting a statement on.
I am too.
So, if you
And
guys
you
are
hear from
okay,
us,
I'll draft something and bring it to our next board meeting if you guys
Yeah.
consider it.
I'm all right.
Yeah, that would be good, thank you.
All right, so I will work on both those things. And Diane, since you're on the landfill board, have you guys had any problems at all with people bringing things, either wind turbines or solar, or trying to dump it?
Nope, none. We have our big sign, and we're gonna do horrible fines, and
Good.
we keep them from a year, they can't come back. No, we've had no problems.
Good.
We are shutting down when it's windy. They don't like that, but, and we did put up fences that if a deer gets in there, it's gonna live there the rest of its life. We put up such high fences.
We don't wanna pick up more garbage. No, we're doing fine.
Okay. Good to know. All right, new business, invocation list, point of contact. I apologize, I neglected to tell Michaela that this is resolved, so, we don't need to discuss that.
I'll just tell you, I'll take July, August, September, October, Jess, November, December, January, February, Heather, March, April, May, June.
Yeah,
This is just
so we're gonna be the point
yeah.
of contact for folks that want to do that.
That was good, thanks.
Okay, next one is discuss timeline for auditor interviews. So, we don't currently on our website have a date of when the final day to receive applications are. So I want to know when the board, if we wanted to do that, what date we should put, and then interviews for that. And I believe with my conversation with Steve, the interviews will have to be public. Correct, due to a recent Iowa Supreme Court decision?
That's probably the best way to go.
Can they choose to go into closed session if it
I
is?
don't think they can.
You don't think they can?
No. So that is quite a change from what we have done in the past. So we'll have to notify our applicants that all interviews will be public. It'll be kind of like a work session, so there will not be public comment.
But we will have a list of questions provided by Kelly, so we stay on track of what we ask, correct? Is that,
Well, yes.
yes,
Yes,
so we don't,
yeah, and I believe our attorney is on us with that too.
Yep.
So all questions will be public, all answers will be public, so we'll need to let the interviewees know that. Yes, so I'll be on the record.
so when do you wanna do this? We're going to set an end date really soon.
We need to set an end date, and then we need to send, what, so I didn't know if you wanted to be the end date. So Terry's alleged last day is July 4th. Why don't we what do you guys think about making the last day the 27th and set up interviews the week of the 30th of June?
Why don't we make them faster? Make them, the 27th of June is the end date for taking
For
apps?
taking applications.
That's.
Cause then we'll have a whole week to set interviews, and we can just let them know, we can post on the website when the interviews will happen.
What, but then you're not making, the end date's 27th of June? All right,
Cause then
I'm
you have a
okay.
whole other week, but if
And
you
we
guys
got
don't
a
wanna do
short
that.
week.
No, I'm okay with it.
That's right, it is a short week, You're right.
So I wonder if you give us a full week.
Maybe the 26th. Okay, that's good.
And then should we go ahead and, between the three of us,
Schedule times.
some times, just some blocks of time?
Some blocks of time, so we can do that. The first is actually our off week for meetings, so we can always start like at 8:30 and go to noon.
July 1.
Mhm.
So, all right, 8:30 to noon, I'm okay with that.
I can do that.
Okay, and then do we wanna do another one?
Yeah, just in case, so we have it reserved on our calendars.
Okay, how about July 2nd, which is a Wednesday?
8:30 to noon again? I'll have to see how many we have.
July 2nd.
Or how about the 4th?
Or the 3rd?
The 3rd is probably good, okay, the 3rd.
I like the third better with
The
my
3rd
schedule.
For your schedule, okay,
You
so
wanna go 8:30 to noon again?
So 8:30 to noon, okay. Do we wanna do one on Monday, just in case, cause then we'll have 3 days
As a backup.
as a
Yeah.
backup?
Yeah, that's fine.
When you wanna go Monday, the,
June 30th. Also do 8:30 to noon. Or do we wanna do one some afternoons ones for in case there's a candidate that can't be in the morning?
Maybe we should.
So do Monday maybe
Maybe put
1 to 4?
1 to 4. That's fine.
30?
June 30th, what do you think about that? That works. So 1 to 4 p.m. on June 30th is a block. July 1st, 8:30 to noon is a block, and then July 3rd, 8:30 to noon is a block. And then the last day to receive applications is, June 26th. So we'll get that updated on the website.
Yeah, did you get that one, Kaylee? Okay. That's good.
And
And then the questions will be a compilation from, you said, from Kelly and also from Ann.
from Ann, yeah, and then if we have particular questions we wanna ask, we should probably let them know so they can add them. So we ask the same questions to every candidate.
So if we can get the questions in advance, then we can review them, and then if there's something we'd like to add, we can talk
Usually,
about that.
I take the questions and then I attach them to the, to the application, so I have them all intact, and so I can write the answers on all of them, that's all I do.
But
But
when
then
I was saying, in
destroy- then
case
she destroys them after.
if we can't destroy them after.
No, ours.
Public
stuff we
record.
can't. Stuff we write.
Oh, she's talking
Oh,
about.
I just mine.
Oh, I see. So what I wanna know is if we wanna add our own questions to be asked of all the candidates.
I
So we have to
don't.
let Ann
I want the lawyer and the HR to draw them up.
okay.
I
So,
wanna see the questions, and then I wanna know, then I can tell you if there's something I wanna add.
okay.
So I might, I don't know, but I don't know what the questions are, so let's see.
If it's the same as always, I'm okay with them.
Okay,
I'll look.
okay, sounds good.
So, but what we will need to know is notify the candidates, letting them know that all the interviews will be public. So I'm not quite sure how to do that.
Have HR do it. HR can tell them that that's where it should
And
go
are we
anyway.
planning, since
And she should really set up the appointments, and
schedule it?
she should schedule it, and then you do that, that should all go through Kelly.
So we
So
don't, we're interviewing everyone at this point, because we don't have time.
we
Well,
have
we-
5, we got a 6th one today, but they don't live in the county, so
Okay.
She said she was moving, but I don't think we can.
you have to be living
Yeah.
here 60 days.
Oh, yeah, so,
So then HR can schedule the particular interviews with the individual candidates.
she'll provide us with the questions, her and Steve, and then we'll add if you want, and
Ann is putting together for us.
that's good.
So, yep, and then hopefully we'll get them soon, and then we can determine if we want to add any of our own questions to ask.
Okay.
So, okay, all right, looks like we have a game plan. Okay, so, we need to add the applications are due June 26th, we have the calendar, should we direct Kelly to start scheduling the ones we already have?
Yeah, I would,
I will.
because that's far enough ahead that they'll be able to work that in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, have her start.
and then who's gonna update the website on the deadline?
I can do that.
Okay.
Okay, that was the main thing for that, bullet point item. Did you guys have any other questions on that?
No.
All right, next one is 2025 priorities. Right now, the only priority we have, that's a standing item is the ordinance review and update, and I don't. So, yeah, all right, so I know he's working on it with
He had a
the
meeting,
contractor.
Last meeting, he mentioned he had one
He had one
scheduled.
scheduled.
So he probably already had it.
I think
Yeah.
so.
So maybe next meeting
So
he'll
he'll
get
update us.
Okay, all right, if there's no other business,
We've had one meeting.
you had one meeting?
They've had one meeting with the contract.
Oh, good.
Okay, good.
Good.
Thank
We
you.
just got a product in the email this week, and I haven't looked at it yet.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, if there's no other business before the board, I'll entertain a motion. Second,
Second.
all in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.